Shalom. Call Halayam La, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect, to the rest of the men, women, and children who believe in the true gospel of Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai. This is Brother Shawar with another lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai. A quick lesson in the spirit, dealing with prophecy. In particular, I want to get into Esaw, Edom, and the so-called white man, and the division that we're seeing amongst, his nation, and then also the talking point of this being prophecy and a sign that we're at the end. And this is what separates the scriptures, the Holy Bible, from any other book, is the prophecies. The prophecies are going to tell you what's real and what's not. Scriptures tell us that, none should want her mate, meaning dealing with the Bible itself. There's no other book that can match up and override the scriptures, because it's the word of the Lord, right? And it's the will of the Lord, which the Lord is omnipotent, omnipresent, and all that, so it's undefeated. But what we're seeing now is the downfall of Esaw, Edom's kingdom, of Babylon the Great. This wicked kingdom that we're in right now. This is the last captivity before the kingdom of heaven, which is going to start with the elect, the 144,000, right? The Israelites, so-called Negros, Latinos, and Native Americans, the elect out of that nation, out of our nation, I should say, right? So these devils are super divided, man, especially here or in America. In Babylon, there's a bunch of political division. There's division worldwide. There's division, with the rabbis and the Christians. Right, the rabbis are saying the American Edomites are Amalek. And then even though they all are, and they all have the same judgment, but nonetheless they're all divided. Scriptures tell us a house divided cannot stand, and we'll get that. And that's why this kingdom is falling. There's other reasons that play into it, but ultimately it's the will of the Lord and His biblical prophecy. And it also proves, a couple things. It also proves that the so-called white man is not Japhet, because we're dealing with end-time prophecy, and Japhet is not mentioned in end-time prophecy. And what we're seeing, what's lined up with the prophecies, is dealing with Esaw. So Esaw is the so-called white man, right? And again, another point I wanted to bring up is their history is being brought up. They're ashamed of their history. They're trying to run away from, what their forefathers have done. They created critical race theory, which is this complete madness. The elder Malcolm from Chicago goes into that all the time. He has a channel called Critical Race Historical Facts, because it is facts. The things that are documented and is just well known, secular history, that what they've done. People, it's coming out because we're in the information age. Everything is coming out that much more, and they're ashamed of it, right? And that's bringing more division with the Edomite woman and the Edomite male, and they just Edomites against each other in general, right? So there's a bunch of division going on. The Lord is just revealing this devil for who he is, and it's going to continue to get worse until he shows his horns full-fledged. And, the rest of the prophecies are going to do what they do. But let's get some scriptures. I don't want to make this too long, Salakia. I just wanted to lay the foundation. But this is 2 Thessalonians 2, and we'll start at 3. It reads, "Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition," right? So that the great day of the Lord, where the Lord, cracks the skies, comes back as an angelic force to deliver his elect and to destroy this wicked kingdom. Before that day comes, the man of sin has to be revealed. And who's the man of sin? It's Esaw, Edom. You know, they live, breathe, you know, eat, sleep, shit, sin, wickedness. That's their MO. That's how they always been. You know, their history is bloodstained. You know, even now, the deception. That's what we say that they're the devil that the Bible speaks of, and devil meaning deceiver. And to this day, they're deceiving the masses. They're plotting behind the scenes. They're plotting to basically enslave the whole entire world with the MOTB, a digital enslavement, right? The RFID, micro C-hip, right? They've destroyed the food, the air. They go around destroying, you know, nations, conquering nations, and stealing, you know, making false flags for resources. All, you know, the list goes on. Not to mention, you know, the big things like, you know, enslaving the Israelites. You know, but the point is they're gonna have to pay for this. There's a great judgment that comes with this. That's why these elites, you know, are really running away from Esau, Edom. They're trying to run away from that title. They're trying to run away from who they really are because they're basically just trying to run away from the judgment. But it's not going to work, right? It's the will of the Lord. So let's continue. Verse 4. Who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God, right? They have a God complex. They are trying to, and all their actions that they're doing, even with all this, you know, this digital stuff and trying to go digital. This is what they're basically showing you through their actions. They're trying to override what the Lord has already created. They're trying to, quote unquote, make it better, right? Because they believe, you know, or they want to be like the Most High. They want complete control. That's what the MOTB is all about. Having complete control. Controlling when you sleep, controlling when you go to work, when you wake up, when you eat, when you have sex, when you, whatever how much you're consuming, how much you're buying, how much you're, you know, whatever. They want complete control. And then again, this is not, Japhet is not doing this, right? Esau is doing this. There's only one nation of people on the planet Earth in abundance, you know, collectively, that's doing this. That fits all these characteristics of Esau, Edom, right? Verse 5. Remember ye not that when I was yet with you, I told you these things. And now ye know what withholdeth, that he might be revealed in his time. For the mystery of iniquity doth already work. Only he who now letteth will let, until he be taken out the way. And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming, right? Dealing with that, you know, Revelation, the 11th chapter, and the Lord is going to come back and crack the skies with the chariots of the archangels and deliver the elect. So this is what's happening right now. This is what we're seeing, and it's a beautiful thing to see. You know, if you're in the truth, man, if you have the knowledge and wisdom of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, because we understand when this kingdom falls, the kingdom of heaven, which is going to benefit everybody, you know, it comes next. The kingdom of heaven is the kingdom of the Israelites, is the kingdom of, starting with Yahushai, King David, you know, the 12, and then the elect, the 144,000 on down, and the nation in general, but there's a hierarchy. And the Israelites are going to be the top people of the earth by far, you know, pretty much superhumans with the law written in our inward parts. Second covenant talks about, you can go to Hebrews 8, deals with that. And 2 Corinthians 15 and around the 50th verse. But the kingdom is going to benefit everybody, man. The kingdom is going to be what the world is supposed to be, a paradise, through the rulership of the Israelites, right? But the kingdom is another lesson for another day. But these things, you know, it's going to be tough to go through, but these are good things, man, that this devil is being revealed. You're seeing the signs, man. You're seeing what the prophecies are speaking. You're seeing it. And it's ultimately going to lead ultimately to this devil crashing out. right? And his plans is not going to work. It's just not going to. He's going to get close to fulfilling his wicked deeds, but it's not going to work. Because the Lord has written that we win at the end of the day. Lord willing, we be a part of that number. But he's being revealed, man. It's all coming out. And it's only going to get worse, right? So this is Mark 3, and we'll start at 24. It reads, "And if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. And if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand. And if Satan rise up against himself and be divided, he cannot stand, but have an end." Right? So you look at history of any kingdom, this is pretty much history repeating itself. Right? And again, we're just seeing it unfold in real time. But a house divided, a kingdom divided, a family divided cannot stand. It won't last, right? And there is the division is at an all-time high in Babylon the Great. Right? And these people are the physical counterpart of the spiritual demon Satan. Right? They're the left-hand side of the Heavenly Father. The Lord controls both sides. Right? There's no, battle with the Lord versus Satan that the Lord is, struggling to fight against. The Lord controls both sides, right? He controls good and evil, Isaiah 45:7. But at the end of the day, the wicked is going to get punished for what they've done. And they've done a whole lot. And that's why they're running away from their history, their, the Esau, Edom, pretty much who they are, Esau, Edom. I don't even want to say the title because that's who they are. And that's why they created being so-called white. Right? This is a social construct they created. So black as well, right? Because they know we're the Israelites, the elites of the so-called white people. They know that we're Israelites, the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. And the Israelite foreigners that are spread amongst the rest of the nations due to the scattering that may look like those nations, but they have the spirit and the lineage of an Israelite. Right? So let's continue on. I'll get a couple more scriptures and close. So this is Psalm 64, and we'll start at 2. It reads, "Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity, who whet their tongue like a sword and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words." Right? They deceive, man. They use their words. Their words are like weapons. Right? But they're slick with it. You have to read between the lines with what these devils say, because there's always they'll paint things. The scriptures also say his words were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart, right? So they'll say things that sound good, that sound like it's to benefit you or to help you, but really on the back end it's a wicked plot, a wicked scheme to destroy you and really only benefit them. That's always how they presented things. Right? And the MOTB is going to be no different. So let's continue. Verse 3. Or Salaki, verse 4. "That they may shoot in secret at the perfect, suddenly do they shoot at him, and fear not." Right? So they plot on the perfect being the Israelites, the righteous seed. Although the Israelites are off right now, we're in captivity. We're under the curses due to our disobedience of our forefathers. Right? Zechariah 13:8 lets us know 2/3 of Israel is going to be cut off for their wickedness. Read Deuteronomy 28:15 on down. That's why we're cursed, because our disobedience. That's why our people are so off and wicked as well. But there's still a remnant that's going to be saved. Isaiah the 10th chapter goes into that, for righteousness' sake and to start the kingdom of heaven, right? But they plot against the Israelites because they know who we are. Everything they do in society is pretty much aimed at the Israelites to destroy our nation, to keep us down everywhere in the world. Everywhere Jake is in abundance in the world, they plot to keep them down. Psalms 83 talks about how the nations, they come together and they did it. They made a tumult. They came together and they plotted against the Israelites to keep us down, to keep us docile, to keep us weak, to destroy us. That's what all this, alphabet stuff, the alphabet community things is all pretty much aimed at Jake. They push it the hardest on Jake. The music is demonic and wicked, is pushed on Jake super hard. Jake has the worst. They're in the worst communities. The guns and drugs are just always in the communities. They flood the communities with it. A bad education. Whatever. The list goes on, right? The list goes on. But it's they do it on purpose, and it's a spirit behind it. It's the spirit of Esau, Edom, right? Going back to Jacob and Esau, even going back to Cain and Abel. If you really want to get deep with it, it's a spirit. It's a spiritual hatred and a spiritual wickedness that they have that's so deeply rooted, and it's really just it's the Lord, man. It's the Lord. So verse 5, they encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune of laying snares privily. They say, who shall see them? Right? They lay traps out, and it's like laced within their system, and you don't really notice it until you're caught in it. And even when you're caught in it, you don't notice it sometimes. But this is just how they operate. They search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search. Both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep. Right? This devil, these elites, banking families, these Amalek, Esau in general, their wickedness is rooted so deep that they, it's down to the smallest things, down to the clothes we wear, the air we breathe, the videos that we watch on a daily, the devices we use with the radiation, just frying you and everything. It's very deeply rooted, their wickedness, man, and to destroy Jake. And everyone's going to see the devil's horn show pretty soon, full-fledged, because, again, it's going to get to the point where the devil's going to have to crash out. But it's rooted very deep, man, and this is all prophecy. It's all prophecy. Prophecy, reveals everything. It reveals the time we're in. It reveals what's going to happen next. It reveals who's who. It's everything. And through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shai, we have, those of us in this truth, we can see it, right? And we're extremely blessed to be able to see, because most people in this world, even because there's people who know, there's people paying attention to certain things, but they truly don't grasp it. They truly still don't understand it. So we're extremely blessed to have this truth, man. The Wadi Hawabashim Shai. So, verse 7, Psalm 64:7. But the Most High shall shoot at them with an arrow. Suddenly shall they be wounded. And that's dealing with those nuclear missiles that's going to destroy Babylon the Great by way of World War III. Psalm 64:8. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. And again, that's what's happening, man. Their kingdom is falling within, from the outside and from within. Their own people are exposing them. And then breaking down the strongholds, along, of course, starting with the prophets first and foremost. The strongholds being the lies and the mental deception they just have on the masses. It's being broken through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shai Shai, right? And they got to pay for all what they've done, man. So let's get, the point is already made, but let's get this last one, because like I said, these Edomites are trying to run from their judgment, and they have to pay for all what they've done, man. And everywhere they've gone, they've gotten it by rape, robbery, and murder. Everywhere Edomites are in abundance, it's been achieved by rape, robbery, and murder. Right? And they know that. And it's becoming common. It's kind of been common knowledge, but it's becoming more public and just more understood throughout the world. But they got to pay for it. The Lord, that's how the Lord deals, man. And when you read Obadiah, we know the judgments for them to be eradicated after they serve out a 1,000-year sentence of slavery in the kingdom of heaven, to build up the kingdom for what they've done to the Israelites. And not only the Israelites, the earth, the world, these other nations too. So let's get this in Numbers 35, and we'll close. Numbers 35 and 33. So ye shall not pollute the land wherein ye are, for blood it defileth the land. And the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it, right? And that's what's happening, and that's what's going to happen two of these devils, to Esaw, Edom. The judgment is coming. Is very close. You know, you can sense it in the air, man. You can smell it, because it's the prophecies, man. The prophecies are all speaking to us. If you have the eyes to see, ears to hear, right? So, Lord willing, this is edifying and uplifting. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Makakwadash, Shalom, Kwam Yasharala, and the Bible Ball.